At that time, the operating room was under the sights of Rashists. He was driving to pick up his grandchildren on the highway and was shot by Rashists. I realized that the war had started because I could see rockets flying from Belgorod. The Zolochiv territorial community is constantly under fire from the Russian army. Since the full-scale invasion, Rashist explosive shells, more than 1,000 houses were crushed here. More than 100 residents died, including children. Local residents helped solve problems with medicines and equipment, and desperate Kharkiv volunteers. Residents of our community would come and put medicines, even equipment, or some food on my table. But the most memorable was when a person came and put a jar of alcohol on the table. I was surprised that people would give their last to help others. And it united us. My team and I decided to come here. There were explosions here, it was very hot. These Rashists were hitting civilians. When it hit the hospital, it was very scary. There was a lot of damage. Our friends from France, Great Britain, and America provided humanitarian aid. It included medical equipment and bandages. We brought everything to the hospital. Zolochiv was shelled almost every day. There were a lot of shells hitting the hospital. All our windows and doors were smashed. We repaired everything as best we could and continued to provide medical care. The chief nurse of the Zolochiv hospital recalls with horror how the Rashists' occupiers targeted the medical facility, where she had worked for almost 50 years. The Zolochiv hospital was probably one of the first in the region to be shelled by the Russian invaders. In March 2022, there were nighttime arrivals at the hospital. The dental department and the centralized stabilization laboratory were damaged. Russian weapons hit our medical facility many times. We were counting then. Perhaps 3 times with artillery. And the S-300 came to us. It hit the therapeutic and children's wards. There was nothing left of them. We were in another building at the time. But this blast wave raised and lowered our institution. And the blast wave smashed all the windows. After the destruction of the therapeutic and pediatric departments, Zolochiv doctors led by the director of the medical institution, Ilona Butova, continued to work in the basement of the surviving building. We went down to the basement to take cover. And we hear something flying. There is no comparison to this noise. The Russian missile came very close. All the windows were smashed again. Apparently, it was flying in parallel, because the blast wave blew everything out. We were saved by the fact that we were downstairs. We stayed here around the clock to take care of the wounded and sick. From among our population who stayed here, there were many civilians killed in our village and many wounded. Some people went out to buy bread, others just went to their families. The first victims were a woman with a child. She was just blown up. They brought pieces of a person to the hospital. On the Kharkiv-Zolochiv road, they found the body of a man who had been shot. He ran into a Russian convoy and was shot. It took us a long time, probably 5 days. Could not take him away from there for a long time. Then the police, our locals, came and took the body away. It was terrible because the shots were made from close range. Zolochiv doctors constantly provided assistance to local residents who were wounded by the Rashists. The first wounded came to us on March 7th. People who were on their way to Kharkiv. Civilians. It was a family, a father and son were wounded. The father was in a very serious condition. The son was not so bad. They had just left Zolochiv and were on their way to Kharkiv. They were brought back to the hospital and provided with the necessary medical care. Residents of the surrounding villages came to the Zolochiv hospital. Our village of Svitlikny suffered greatly from the Russian invaders. In terms of percentages, 95% of all houses were damaged, and 10 of them burned down. They cannot be rebuilt. The House of Culture with the library burned down. And the kindergarten, which was the best of the 3 in the area, was damaged. Children were happy to go there. So did my daughter. She still asks me, how come the Russian army shelled our kindergarten, Mom? There was a direct hit to our medical center in Svitlikny, which burned down. It was completely destroyed. In the village of Makarov, a Russian sniper killed a man during the occupation. A civilian, because he was just going to work. We had a farm there. In Turovo, a boy was wounded in the leg. A boy was wounded in the leg by shrapnel. In Makarov, people exploded on a Russian mine. 3 people were killed. Then people were blown up when they wanted to leave the occupied territory. I believe that this is genocide of the Ukrainian people. Because if this is a war, then the military is fighting. And they are fighting the civilian population. Having carried out a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Rashists are carrying out systematic attacks on healthcare facilities, which is a war crime without a statute of limitations.